Jesus Christ. I have never been so upset in my life. This is utterly ridiculous.
Is that so? Same for me. It's amazing how we feel the same way when we are not able to agree on one single thing in our lives, isn't it? I thought we were always against each other's opinions, but I guess we eventually have something that we both agree on.
What the hell are you talking about? Look in the mirror. Do you see yourself? We're not the same. I'm a superwoman who has been working at Kellogg's for 10 years, one of the world's top food companies, after graduating magna cum laude from Princeton. I'm sure you know Princeton is an Ivy League school, even when you didn't go to college. And you dropped out of high school and you're just a lady who is working in the kitchen at a restaurant. Do you think we can ever have the same opinion? That's absurd. I don't understand how you could even dream of applying to our company. You know Kellogg's is way out of your league. You should keep working in that kitchen, and that's what you should do forever. That goes amazingly well with your background as a high school dropout. Why did you want to apply to Kellogg's in the first place? Were you jealous of me working at one of the world's renowned companies? Is that why you dared to apply to Kellogg's, not realizing your background as a high school dropout is never good enough? Were you blinded by jealousy? Did you think you could make it work just because I did? Let me remind you again. Our backgrounds are very different, and you should not delude yourself into thinking you can do it just because I did it. You make me speechless.
The job description said anybody can apply for it. There was no prerequisite or particular experience required to apply for the job.
This is exactly why you can't make it work. You don't understand unless things are spelled out for you. The only reason for us to let anyone apply for the position was for the sake of public image. Did you think it actually meant to encourage people with no experience and no educational background to apply? There are so many candidates who are more than qualified with degrees from prestigious colleges, and some of them even have experience. Do you think there will be any reason for Kellogg's to hire a high school dropout instead of strong candidates holding college degrees and experience?
I'm sure anyone with a passion for food and snacks can apply for the job. Why would educational background be so significant? I know I don't have a college degree. I dropped out of high school, but passed the GED and earned a high school diploma eventually. I may not have experience, but nobody has experience unless they're given a chance. I don't understand how you're so aggressive and overreacting. I swear I didn't know you worked for Kellogg's, and the only reason I applied for the job was because one of my friends suggested me to do so. I never imagined I would see you there, particularly as my interviewer from Human Resources. And more importantly, I didn't know you would reject me so hard. Why do you hate so much that I applied for the job? Do you feel threatened by me or something?
What a joke. Do you think I would ever be threatened by you, a high school dropout? I was top of my class all through college, and I was recruited by Kellogg's right out of college. Since then, I have been working here for a decade, and I know everything and anything about this company. I worked harder than anyone else and eventually earned to become who I am today. I am the Human Resources Manager, and I have the power to hire or reject candidates after interviewing them. Why would a successful career woman like me be threatened by you who has not established anything? I can't believe you thought I felt threatened by you even for 1 second. That's humiliating. You make me feel extremely unpleasant.
Okay, I get that you have a significant role and you mean something big to your company. What does that have to do with me, though? I was one of the candidates for the job and you were there to interview me. I was supposed to answer all the questions with sincerity, and you were supposed to be fair and treat all candidates equally. It was a business, but you brought your personal feelings into this. I don't understand why you're being so sarcastic and being so rude to me right now.
Did you say I'm rude to you? Oh, please. Are you calling me rude when you weren't able to answer questions because they were beyond your intellectual level? And the fact that you might not get hired because of your lack of intelligence? You should know. If you don't get hired, it was because your background was not good enough. How dare you interrogate the Honorable Human Resources Manager? Didn't I tell you I have all the power?
Did you say the Honorable Human Resources Manager? I have heard of the Honorable Judge, but never of the Honorable Human Resources Manager in my life. Hey, I think you're the one who is deluded. Being a human resources manager is just a job, and you report to the CEO and follow his direction. Do I have to honor you, especially when you're the worst interviewer ever? Do you think you deserve to be honored? I can't believe you're criticizing me when I should be the one questioning your attitude.
I don't believe this. How dare you talk about my attitude? Did you forget nothing has been decided yet? You don't know what happened to your interview yet. Don't you have the slightest sense not to offend me if you want to get a job? You should at least pretend to please me.
You were not going to hire me anyway, were you? You were not going to hire me whether I please you or not, so why should I bother to pretend? You aggressively asked me why I dropped out of high school, so I tried to explain what happened. I said my father passed away only a few weeks after I started my junior year of high school. I needed to make money for my family in the absence of my father, so I dropped out of school and got a job to help my mom and my little sisters. I was trying to explain myself, but you interrupted me and cut me off in the middle of the sentence, telling me not to seek sympathy with tiresome lies. I wished you would let me finish my explanation so that you and the other interviewers could have a better understanding of my past, but unfortunately, you did not give me the chance to do so. You also asked me about my current job, so I said I'm working in the kitchen. You became visibly upset and threw my resume on the floor. Then you made a rude comment that this is not a company where the restaurant kitchen lady can come in arbitrarily. Your words were arrogant and dismissive, and you showed a lack of respect. You left me feeling frustrated and unheard. Don't you understand you're disqualified as a decent human being before you are a competent human resources manager?
Don't you realize you were humiliated and insulted because you bit more than you can chew? You should know where you belong and what you're capable of. But clearly, you don't know that. You should stick to the restaurant kitchen like any other high school dropout would. I can't believe you attempted to work for the same company to be on par with an Ivy League graduate like myself. I can't forgive you for even thinking about it. You're not in the right mind, are you? I can see how jealous you were of me. I guess I'm your role model who is treated by her husband, respected by her in-laws, and looked up to by her children. Is that why you wanted to work for our company, thinking you could live an elegant life like I do?
Yes, indeed. Why can't I live a life like you do? You always come late to every family event, sticking out an envelope full of cash. You never help with food or cleaning up after, yet still you have all the power. You enjoy the food and desserts I made while I'm busy making them and doing the dishes. We have the same role in this family, yet I can't help but feel like everything falls on me. It's as if I am expected to be the one who is responsible for everything from cooking to cleaning. It's not that I don't want to contribute or do my part, but don't you think it's unfair and unfortunate for me? Whether I work in a restaurant or in a company, I work with a sense of duty. So why do I have to receive unfair treatment?
I'm saying it's ridiculous to think that a high school dropout like you would want to receive the same treatment as me, who has a college degree from an Ivy League school. How many times should I repeat myself to make you understand? You know what? You are definitely going to fail. So don't worry about anything and just prepare to receive the rejection letter.
It's you who is going to be let go.
I understand that you're desperate, but you can't say things that you don't even know what you're talking about. Who is getting fired? I have been employed with this company for a decade, and I have the power to hire or reject candidates. I'm a significant figure in this company as a human resources manager that Kellogg's can't afford to lose. I'm not someone who you can just let go just because someone wants to fire me without a good reason. Even if I were to explain it 100 times to someone as ignorant and uneducated as you, would you even understand it? All you need to know is that I have absolutely no intention of leaving this company.
I'm saying you can't work for your company anymore regardless of your intention. Your career seems to be over now.
What the hell are you trying to say?
I actually recorded the entire interview process when I was having the interview. I started recording when I entered the interview room with the intention of listening to it later. However, I was surprised to see you sitting in the interviewer's seat. And I was surprised again to see not only the lack of kindness, but also the spewing of unbelievable verbal abuse to me. You didn't forget that we're a family, right? The fact that you made such hurtful remarks without any consideration for my education or work experience surprised me. But the comment about me and my children was beyond shocking. I gave birth to 3 children, and you accused me of having them without plans and insulted me by saying you're doubtful if I'm capable of raising them right. You also asked if I wasn't shameful about creating life solely through animalistic behavior, and that was quite disgusting. The other interviewer couldn't hide his astonishment at your vulgar comments, but you were too preoccupied insulting me to notice his expression. The sound of the resume being thrown to the floor and you saying how I dared to even bring a resume as a high school dropout is clearly recorded on the audio file. I believe that the situation at that time, which was breathtaking and intense, was conveyed well enough. Well, the CEO was so offended by your behavior that it caused quite a stir. He was shocked to learn that his human resources manager was such an arrogant person. He comforted me that you're not worthy enough for me to be discouraged. He assured me that he will provide good education and training to his employees in the future to prevent such incidents from happening again. And he didn't know this kind of thing was happening.
The CEO? Did you just say the CEO? Did you talk to Mr. Anderson? You're lying. He's a busy man. He won't have time for a high school dropout.
He was not the kind of person who judged others based on their academic background. Unlike someone else I know. He was kind and fair.
No way. Did you complain to him about me because you held a grudge against me? How can an insignificant lady like you meet him?
I know, right? Well, the person who suggested applying for the job to someone like me, an insignificant lady referring to you, was Mr. Anderson.
What was that again?
Mr. Anderson is a regular customer at the restaurant where I work. One day, he stopped by and said that he wanted a special dish that was not on the menu. So I made him something new using the available ingredients. After tasting it, he said it was absolutely fantastic and he wanted it to go on the menu. He was highly impressed by the food I made and politely asked me to work for his company and contribute to the company's growth by handing me his business card. There I realized he was an extraordinary figure. I had no idea that he was the CEO of a big company, but I happily made him something special since he was a regular customer. Of course, Kellogg's is not a company that does the same thing, but it seems like he wanted my innovative approach. I hesitated due to my educational background and work experience, but he encouraged me that those things were not important at all. I applied for the job and went for an interview because I trusted Mr. Anderson, who gave me confidence. I never imagined I would run into you and end up in this situation. This is very unexpected.
That can't be true.
You should have told me the name of the company you worked for. You only told me that you worked for one of the big companies, but didn't tell me the name of it. I had no idea if you worked for a food manufacturer. I would never have applied for the job if I had known you worked there. You're proud, jealous, and cunning, and I would never want to work with someone like you. I have been working with you for more than a decade, remember? I already know how you are.
You didn't tell him that I'd tell people I work for a major company, did you?
Oh, wasn't I supposed to tell him? Was that something he wasn't supposed to know? I owe you an apology because I told him about that as well. When I told him that I was surprised to run into you at a food manufacturer who claimed to work for a large corporation dealing with electronic products, he was even more surprised than me. It seemed like he was very displeased and offended by the fact that you lied about it, as if he had suffered a great insult.
Are you insane? Did you make up your mind to bring me down willingly for your own benefit? You can't do that to me. We're a family. Isn't a family supposed to embrace each other? How could you do this to me?
Oh, I had no idea if you ever thought of me as your family. I thought you never took me as your family from the moment you met me. Don't you remember how you treated me when we first met? We met each other for the first time at the family gathering before your wedding. You asked me about my educational background, my family, my friends, and where I grew up. You immediately judged me that I was no better than you and began to look down on me. What made you think you were better than me? Because you went to Princeton? Your family was richer than mine? I was never rich, but I was always honest and sincere. I was loved by my parents, and I always maintained a good relationship with my sisters and friends. How dare you look down on me when the only thing you got is your college degree from Princeton? Of course, having a degree from Princeton is an accomplishment, but that doesn't define who you are. You may have graduated from one of the world's best universities, but you may have failed to be a decent human being. Besides, you cut me off in the middle of the sentences, and you acted as if you were trying to impress our in-laws by trying to be cute and charming. Did you have to do that even before you were married like a puppy? Did you want to step over my confidence from the beginning and wanted to receive all the attention?
Not at all. That was never my intention. It was just that I might have unintentionally tried to act cute and charming towards my in-laws since I was the youngest in my family and was adored. It was never about trying to beat you or anything like that. And I didn't act the way I did during the interview because I had any issue or dissatisfaction with you. I acted recklessly to you because you're my family. I was suffering from menstrual cramps and I thought you would understand.
Oh, now you're blaming it on menstrual cramps after the situation isn't favorable to you after you spoke whatever you felt like and hurt me with your words? Do you actually think menstrual cramps would make everything forgivable? I knew you were a sly, but I didn't know you were so cowardly as well.
I mean what I say. I think I was crazy because of the cramps. I'm very sorry for what I did to you.
Apology not accepted. I'm sure Mr. Anderson will wisely determine whether you have the qualifications to be his human resources manager and whether you are worth receiving a salary from his company.
I don't usually have an interview like that. I did that only because you were the candidate. I conducted interviews with other candidates honestly and fairly following the company manual. It was a one-time mistake and I can't be criticized for that.
Are you saying you did it honestly and fairly to other candidates but me? You can't call it a mistake when you did it with all your intentions. Don't you think you were disqualified as an honest interviewer at the moment when you decided to discriminate against me?
Oh, please, Rachel. I deeply apologize for what I did. You are right that I was threatened by you. I was afraid of you joining our company because you have an extraordinary taste in food. Do you know why I always show up late for every family event? That's because I don't have as good of a sense of taste as you do. You always come up with tasty food effortlessly while I struggle to keep up even with my best effort. I didn't want to be compared to you, who is an excellent cook, because no one seems to like my food no matter what I do. Besides, I was ashamed of working in the same company as you. I was afraid that our in-laws would start to treat us the same way if we worked for the same company. I know I looked down on you for being a high school dropout and for not having a wealthy family background. I acted like a disrespectful jerk, and I'm sorry. I promise I won't behave that way again. Please forgive me this time.
I don't see how my forgiveness would make any difference. It's up to Mr. Anderson now.
Why are you so desperate for my forgiveness?
You should just continue looking down on me like you have been doing. That's more like you. People say that death is near when they suddenly change. You don't want to die when you're still young, do you?
Didn't you say you're close to Mr. Anderson? You can ask him not to fire me. You can do that much for me. You should tell him it was my genuine mistake. I made a huge mistake and I wanted to apologize. I need to provide a private tutor for my twins, but I don't have enough money for that if I get fired. They started elementary school and private tutoring is not an option anymore. You know how much it costs. Please let me hold on to this job. Can you forgive my foolish behavior this time and embrace me with your big heart by considering my husband and twins?
I don't think I will be able to embrace you since I'm not a hen and you're not my egg.
I'm serious. Stop playing with me.
I'm serious too. I tried to understand you the whole time, convincing myself that it must be hard for you to raise the twins and take care of house chores when you work full-time. I have been nothing but considerate for more than a decade, but all I got was what happened today during the interview. Sadly, it was the price of being considerate. It seems like there's no need for me to be considerate anymore, so I won't talk to Mr. Anderson for you. You don't deserve my kindness anymore.
I have a strong sense of pride, and that's why I did that to you. I know it might not make sense to you, but it's how I feel. I have worked hard to get to where I am, and I don't want to do anything that might compromise my position or make me feel like I have lost face. It's not that I don't care about you, but sometimes I have to put myself first, especially when it comes to my pride and sense of self-worth. I hope you can understand where I'm coming from.
I think I have done more than enough for you already. How about we exchange our roles going forward? Now I have a job, so I'll be the one to stick out an envelope full of cash, and you take care of all the family events. That sounds fair and square, doesn't it? Who knows if God will be touched and open up new paths for you when you put yourself in my shoes.
Rachel, please. I'm begging you.
After what happened, with the help of Mr. Anderson, I ended up getting a job at Kellogg's where Lena used to work. Lena, of course, was let go from the company and is now a full-time homemaker. I heard from her husband that since she became a full-time homemaker, she was frequently called upon by our mother-in-law. Despite her efforts to find a job, she has been struggling to find one, and it may not be as easy as she thought, especially with 2 young children to take care of. I decided to be considerate one last time for her by not telling her husband the real reason why she was let go from the company, since she seemed to admit her mistake and feel remorseful about what she did. People don't change easily, so I don't know what kind of situation I may face with her in the future. However, managing such a complex relationship that cannot be ignored will be a lifelong task for me as her older sister-in-law. That's life, so I can only live while trying my best and putting in my efforts.